Hi, YouTube. I hope you're doing good. I'm doing pretty good, not bad. Just gonna visit with you for a while here. Uh, I've been watching Professor Sam Vaknin. A few years back here, I had shared a video with him. They had changed the um, measure of mental illness in the UK and different places to include the phenomenon of belief in a higher power, somewhat, somewhat, to include what it did, what they're aiming at. This is my opinion, is that if you believe in that higher power, you have a mental illness because of that. Um, they're well, psychiatry and psychology is a pseudoscience. There is absolutely nothing provable about the human psyche that they can make a pattern and say this is definitively it. Like the scale for um, the dark triad uh, personality types, which they have changed to the tetrad now to include sad- sadism. So, with along with the psychopaths, the um, narcissism and schizophrenia, sadism. You know, I think I got that right. I don't have a license. I'm a trained counselor. Um, I have a license for ministerial practices in my state, but and I've worked as a paraprofessional with the emotionally handicapped and more. There's more in this area that I'm speaking of. Plus, I've studied physical sciences that are provable. But I think it's an interesting topic when you get into the health care of other people. I did run across Roger Moore. He's got his doctorate. He's a professor and a doctor, just like Sam Vaknin. But I think maybe I'm not going to say a little more educated because I can't prove anything for either of these people that I'm talking about. I can just state the fact that, um, or not Roger Moore, that's 007. Robert Moore, excuse me, my apologies. So Dr. Robert Moore from the Jung Ung Institute in Chicago. Um, so anyway, Professor Ung is, or Professor Moore. Oh, here I go. Anyway, he believes in God. So the differences in two different personalities in the same pseudoscience um, is interesting to me, and I thought I'd share Professor Vaknin's take on this psychology of other people. Um, he's not a psychiatrist, although he is a psychologist, but he's got why God and I doubt each other. Yeah, it's interesting. It's 20 minutes, or wait, no, 20, 23, 28 minutes. Um, it's an interesting take on how people that are caring for other people might be taking care of their psyches, whether it be in a healthy respect or not. This is my issue with the whole human being part spiritual, knowing that we interact in the um, ether or void or whatever you want to call it, Akashic records, different things that you or I may feel. We call upon a higher spirit or are guided by that. I think never really having my natural parents in my life, if I'm just thinking, just starting out as an orphan, what was I mentally handicapped from day one because I felt I was guided by something outside of myself. That's how I'm feeling and where I'm coming from. I can't prove the miracles that have happened in my life that I consider gifts from God. Um, like I was told I was never going to be able to have children. I prayed for a son. I got two. Shortly after my prayer, 9 months exactly for the first one. So I don't know, is that the strength within myself? I think it has something to do with my thinking ahead of time for myself. I also believe that the creator I rely upon, everybody's creator, the same person, that's that's who takes care of me and has guided me when I listen, you know. So anyway, but then I think about the evangelistic aspect of Christianity and think about mental illness and brainwashing and that type of thing. And I can really see how somebody like Professor Sam would have that sort of a take on how a person feels about it's to me it looks like follow the leader because I personally think it's weird their rituals that they become accustomed of doing. I'm not anti-Christian or anti-Christ by no means. I'm just anti-church because even the scriptures say Christ can't be found in the church. You aren't catching me in there either. You blame them? Shit. These guys are crazy. If you follow that type of thing, I don't know to be sorry for you or not, but it's just flat out weird. Whatever. Anyway, it's like they go into a trance, kind of like the Wailing Wall type thing, or twirling dervishes or whatever. And yeah, I guess I'll pick on everybody. I don't care. Pick on me right back. Do you really care? So anyway, I don't. Go for it. I'll come back with something witty at you, no problem. Got something to say? By all means, say it. Are we afraid of words like they're trying to tell us to be? No. I saw a meme that said back in the days when somebody called you a turkey neck, it showed some black guys. Those were fighting words. Well, probably the retort for that would be like, yo, mama. And then, yeah, for sure there'd be something happening. But, yeah, I can guarantee you in that type of situation, nobody was calling the police. Just the way people are now is way different than the way we used to just take care of our own problems. You got a problem with me? Do something about it, type of attitude, you know. Or if we had an issue with somebody, we go and take care of it, no matter what that meant, you know. Just kind of the way the 70s were in the 80s. That's just I don't know. It's the truth, though. It's an absolute fact, at least. And I've been all over the United States and Mexico and Canada several times. And it was the same everywhere I went. People were like that, So I don't know what happened to society in between then and now, but the backbone of the people, when like you say something to them, it's like, get over it. Really? Who cares? Is anybody actually offended that I would say anything about people's religions? You know? So what? You know? Anyway. Oh yeah. It's just a beautiful day here. It's like 80 degrees out and probably not really wonderful for working out in it. Doug's out working in it. He was doing some welding on he's got these metal racks for in the woodshed to stack the wood up so it doesn't fall over. That can be dangerous too. But then we can stack it to the ceiling in there and not be in danger of because even if one chunk, it's like if it's a 45-pound chunk of oak and it falls, it's gonna hurt you. I broke my toe with a cast iron pan twice. The same broken toe. Well, the first time I broke it was my own fault because I was kicking something rather hard and not flesh. But anyway, but then when I dropped that pan on it, I re-broke it, and then I had this one dog named Clancy. She was a Doberman Pinscher, and she constantly, oh no, it wasn't her, it was that puppy. I had a puppy named Tank, and Tank kept sitting on that broken foot constantly. He'd come and sit on that. Yeah, I forgot it was him. Wow, it's been a while, but yeah. So anyway, yeah, chunks of wood can be lethal. That's for sure. Yeah. So what do you all think about spirituality and whether or not you believe in a creator? And of course there was one. I don't believe that and I can't prove, but I don't believe that human beings are just happenstance, you know. Um, just even like the flower of life repeating itself, that geometry and everything over and over, different little different forms, whether say it's a flower with rounded petals or a flower with spiky or elongated stuff. Looking under a microscope, you can still see the structure um, in that matter of the flower of life in everything, snowflakes, you know, everything. So it's not it's perfectly planned. It's not a happenstance or an accident, you know, to demean our creator, who I call our father, you know. And that's everybody's. That's not just exclusively for the Jews or the Christians or the Muslims. I'm talking to everybody on the planet, you know. If we could get over these barriers for the human family, you know, family, what the is that, right? Call that shit. Excuse me, people. I'm being facetious or sarcastic, or they call it satire. Cheers. Because to me, that's a big F you. Yeah, you can say you're scientific. I'm scientific about my coffee mug too. He was talking about his coffee mug. Um, I don't patronize Minnie or Mickey Mouse, being that the founder of that was said to be into child predation. In fact, I have a lot of Mickey stuff that, well, I have a hoodie that's a Mickey Mouse hoodie. I put it out in the cat house. I do have a jean jacket. I've been thinking about selling it with a Mickey. It's freaking awesome. But I'm not gonna because, yeah, it's valuable, and it's made by Levi Strauss, so there's like two things that make it valuable. But I'm not gonna because somebody else would be patronizing the RAPE of little kids, so I'm not going to do that. But I had thought about it, and nah, that's why I'm not going to. And I'm not that desperate for money. I think if I were desperate at any time, say like in the future, if that were to happen, that like one of my kids or grandkids or something needed something desperately, then they could maybe put it on Marketplace or whatever, you know. But and that's the only reason I've actually even kept it. Although that hoodie I threw out in the kitty house, that's even prettier than the jean jacket. So anyway, maybe Professor Sam wants to come and get my Mickey Mouse. Or is it, yeah, do you like Minnie? You just like Minnie, or Mickey's cool with you too? Do you know if you hold his hat the right way, it looks like a penis? Just wondering if you knew all that, you know? His wizard hat, that's what it is. But then we all know that a lot of these things are phallically connected, you know. A lot of people's religions are connected with the phallus, and they don't even know what they're praising. They don't know what their symbols mean. Nothing. People are getting more educated on that, but there was one guy that did like symbols and that type of thing over in the UK, and he wanted to do an interview with me. We set it up, and then I told him he said whenever, and I told him when I'd be able to do it. And I didn't hear back from him like in about a day or two. He didn't really say anything, but like that would be okay. And that day had actually come and gone. Just the lack of the respect and the punctuality of getting back to me or anything when he was the one that asked me. That was when I decided not only am I going to unsub from this person, but you're definitely not going to be interviewing me. I didn't go through hell with battling the dark cabal all my life to have some little um, Mason baby is what I call them, play with me like that. No, you go find somebody else to play with. So anyway, because there's all kinds of people out there showing the symbolism, and not always is it correct. Like I tell people that when they think that the level and the ruler, the G is the ruler. It's a protractor. It indicates what they do everywhere is measure the circumference of your skull. because there's a rate of growth in the skull for minus skull technology that they've been using since ancient times, and that is what that means. I grew up around this. I know, besides being a victim of a lot of their crafts that I overcame and battled firsthand. So, anyway, so yeah, we got Doug and his kitty in the background. Not a big deal, I hope, for any of you. So, yeah. So, getting back to why God and Professor Sam doubt each other. Well, I don't know. It's not even a matter of faith for me. It's a matter of actual biology and the workings and the mechanics of it and the elaborateness of it, and also the beautiful things that I've received in my life, um, without any intervention of the dark cabal, that were true gifts that I knew in my time of need. Yeah, I'm struggling, but when I absolutely need something and can ask, and I receive that with that belief, there's a force behind that, the same as there is with the dark cabal getting anything and everything they need. Of course, worldly, they're going to get more because that's the master they serve. They don't serve the outside one that made everything. They serve the one within their physical prison or school of thought, whatever you want, however you want to view that. But yeah, I think a lot of people, and this is just my opinion, there's more people on their deathbed that call out to God than not. And I think a lot of us in our lives, especially people like me that worked in a retirement home more than once and hospitals with the elderly, can attest to the fact that they may not get nicer, but there's something in them, and that fear. What are they afraid of? What are they fearing? If you're just not going to be evermore, then there should be absolutely no fear there anyway. Live and let live, right? Till you die. So, anyway. Then there's people that know full well that the Spirit of God is trying to work in them, and they're not allowing it out of pure stubbornness and actually a disdain and an actual hatred for the Creator because things didn't turn out in their life the way they wanted it to, whether it be um, your parents were bad, or your kids were bad, or your spouse is bad, or your job is bad. Yeah, blame God. It's all His fault. It's not the way you're looking at life or anything. The whole thing sucks. Nobody made you. You weren't pre-thought of, and God doesn't like you anyway. So I might as well say that because you don't believe in God. So I can say whatever I want with my delusional self, right? So anyway, these people know there's forces out there, good or bad, and they're trying to ride the ethereal fence, not one side or the other. Well, that in itself really isn't too scientific with the ether or the non physical. You can't necessarily see electric until it hits you. If it's lightning, you can't really see air, you know. But if you don't have it, you're going to choke. things like that. Just actual physical things that you can't prove. You can't prove without tools to prove that. Who's and what is a tool to prove the existence of God? Your human thyroidal body that receives that information or blocks that information. That's how and that's who. So my point is, it's their opinion. You can't prove it. I'm of the opinion that I can, just by another person's existence, you know? He talks about the conscious mind. Mm, if everybody is, you know? And to what extent would they be, you know? It'd be like a parent having two kids or more, and one kid pays respect to that parent for their life and the other kid doesn't. What kid do you think that parent's going to gravitate towards and do more for? The one that hates the parent or the one that doesn't? I mean, it doesn't work that way in my life. Anyway, but I have the dark force beating on all my relatives because I won't bow to the um, controllers of this earth. Will not, never will. So, yeah. And that, whether we call it Satan or whatever, is my foe. That's my opposition in this material realm. So, and our people so ignorant, even these pseudo-scientists, to say that there is no spiritual force or forces outside themselves. I've been through this before with this guy, and I think somebody else kind of triggered him here a while ago. I didn't watch it, but I saw a video that somebody was saying that he didn't know enough about Judaism to be speaking on it. He's a, grew up, he's a Hebrew Jewish man that grew up in Israel. You don't get more Judaism than that, you know? So I just thought that was comical, but I did know that it was going to spur him on. And I do also know, being raised with that same type of religious education, connected with the Judaism, Masonically inclined like that, um, and all those crafts, yeah, you're gonna be turned off by who they call God and how they represent like that, because they know the truth of a lot of the history and they keep it covered up to suit themselves and to control other people. So yeah, I would totally, like I did, disconnect myself from that type of baloney. So yeah, I can see where he got to where he is with his conscious awareness of what is or what isn't. But anyway, yeah. But I thought that was so funny. Somebody had said that about him. I don't think he even answered them, as far as I know. He didn't even address it, which would probably be a good way to go about it anyway. No, I think he's just, this is later, just to let people know how he stands and where he stands, as he says, a scientist with the unprovable science, which is just as unprovable of saying that you can measure anybody's mind on the scale of somebody else's. It's not like that. We can have genualities in the psyche of another human being, but we can no way ever be definitive that this mental illness or that mental illness in another person is identically the same, because we would label them, say, like schizophrenic or something. There's different levels of things for everybody, you know. So it's not a science. It'll never be a science because of that reason. Now, the physical matter, we can be scientific about. It's provable. Like having babies, it's logical. It's provable time and time again. But matters of the heart and the soul and the spirit, none of it's ever provable. There's nothing we can prove within that. Anybody could say, well, the Book of God is written by the authors were and whatever, and it was inspired by, and originally I believe that was true. And that's where I'm very interested in getting down to the bottom of the oldest proof of those texts, that papyri, whatever fragments were put together with other people's inserting things that weren't ever there to begin with, that type of thing, or taking things away, which was explicitly said to be a crime, a punishable crime in the eyes of God. So, and who are the people that wouldn't feel it within their own soul, that would keep preaching lies and not hear the Spirit of God calling to them that those were lies that they were telling? Then you got to think, well, who are they? Are they all shady? Yeah, they are. If they don't want to get down to the original text, and they'll just buy anybody's translations, especially when it's proven that it was started in a certain era with inserted words and coined phrases that were made up. And it's proven, the actual language, we're proving it through the language and the migration of languages and philology in that language. It's absolute proof of what was fictitious. If people don't want to go beyond what they think they know and go into the language of those texts, they're just as criminal as the next person with their ignorance and their being deceiving towards people. So, anyway, I am going to share Professor Sam's outlook on spirituality, or lack of it, or our delusions within that, or their delusions within that, whatever. So have a really good night or day wherever you're at. Have a beautiful weekend. Peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA.